Hello, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome back to our final day. It's our third day of Virtual Career Fair PMAT edition. And I hope you guys are well enjoying the sessions that we had previously. We already had the first day on Monday, Tuesday, and this is actually the third day. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of you still have a lot of questions about the talk that we had. And hopefully you did not miss to visit the website as well to talk to our professional career coaches. And this time, our final day, actually it's a third day, but don't worry, the recording for these talks is being posted in our website after today, will be tomorrow and the following days as well, okay? So just go to Jobstreet page and you can see there the Virtual Career Fair website. All right, so just also wanted to remind everyone that we are also partnered with Future Learn that offers free certified courses. So if you wanted to equip yourself with particular or specific skills that you want to, because you're planning to switch career and all that, then you might want to also take up these careers as well. So another thing is there's on the page, on the virtual career page, we also have this, we put a spot there so that you can also chat actively with our professional career coaches. So if you have any questions about your career and how to improve anything about your resumes and your personality exactly, then you can also chat with them live, interact with them right on the spot. Okay, so today we have invited one of the assistant assistant lead from talent acquisition of Mediacorp. Let's welcome Mike. Mike will be talking to us about discovering your next breakthrough opportunity with the fast-paced media opportunities, right? Hi, Mike. Can you hear us?
Hi, Jay. Good to see you.
Hi. So without further ado, I'll leave the floor to you.
Thank you so much again, so much for your time. Hi, everyone. Very excited to be here. And looking forward to actually share with you guys on things which are important to you. I will speak a bit faster on certain areas which you might already have known, but just in case if I speak too fast, drop a note so that I can clarify or elaborate on certain points. But if not, I would like to leave more time for you guys to actually ask questions, right? Because I understand that this talk caters to people from quite a wide range. I'm happy to actually highlight and share more from my perspective. So let me share this briefly. Okay. And yep, and I think while thanks Jay for introduction, but I think as you have progressed so far in terms of thinking about your career, I think one of the things that my presentation would like to emphasize on is the part about being fulfilling. And that's something that I would, as I share with you guys, that's where we will be able to understand more about the industry. Right, so I'm going to share a bit about our company as well as the industry, trends and challenges, because that's why we are looking for more people to actually join the industry. What you need to think about when you consider on career opportunities. And of course, last but not least, what is important is how you get into the industry itself. So that's something that I will highlight, and of course, I'm happy to answer more of your questions if some of the content was not being covered. Okay, so I'm not going to run through the timeline, but basically is an illustration of what the industry, and particularly where we play a big part in, is running along progressively as we go along. So it's to show that as an industry, there's an evolution in terms of how we do things. Things are never static, things are always evolving. Of course, we are the largest content creator. Some of these details may be brief, and feel free to just go to our corporate website under the press release or press room to actually read more about those. Right, so progressively as time goes by, technology gets involved and the landscape changes. That's where we also spearhead with new initiatives, new platforms, and new content to better engage our audiences accordingly, right? So as you go along, these are some of the things that you already have known, but feel free to just go and check it out if you are not too clear about it, so that you can actually understand the full extent of some of the things that we've been doing to actually enhance the content or the consumption experience that you actually have with us, right? And of course, the last one, the big ones, was being the first multi-channel network where YouTube actually recognizes us in terms of how we can support content creators subsequently to actually showcase their talent together with us. And of course, what I wanted to highlight on the front was that as the industry evolves, so do the way that we build and grow ourselves. So you will realize that no single company can exist on their own. No single companies can do everything on their own, and therefore, as we continue to establish ourselves as a national media network producing news and entertainment, that's where we will continue to bring more value, and of course, partnering up with all the people to be able to showcase the best. At the same time, of course, we also do our part to actually create engaging and trusting content, as well with connect with the communities accordingly, which I will actually share in the next few slides. But what is important is that despite the range of things that we actually do, the focus has always been on you. The focus has always been on our audience, right? And that's something that the entire organization or even the entire industry is very dedicated to. Because the moment we lose sight of why we do things, I think that's where things don't fall quite in place. So you will see, last year we did have a sing-along, and we are definitely looking forward to the next National Day Parade that we celebrate as a nation together. As an organization, we also spearhead certain conversations like sustainability. An example of the CNA Leadership Summit. We partner with EBS to come up with a three-part series. And of course, the latest on our portfolio is about CNA Lifestyle Women, in which we provided a platform to actually inform, empower, and inspire the people who are very important to us. And that becomes something that we will continue to build and grow. And that's something that we see a lot of traction that's coming along. There are a lot of other exciting contents like Gen Y Speaks, Having 101, or even the podcast, which we're actually running quite a bit across all the key topic or interest areas. So this is something that is prevalent in the industry, which is very much about content. That as we go forth to actually build and grow, the kind of content that will cater to the needs of the evolving audience will continue to remain. So in one way, it's not static, as we said earlier. On the other hand, it's very fulfilling because it is something that you will grow with time. And if that's something that's aligned to what you are looking for in an industry or in a career, then the media industry is definitely one that will continue to move forward with the times while creating a legacy of the things that we have never done before, right? So you will see that progressively the type of content across the platforms will evolve and become more varied on environment, causes, even culture, and even itself, right? So, and the whole organization, the whole industry plays a part to make this happen, whether it was the front line playing a part in the content itself, or back end doing the script writing, pre-production, post-production, or even the digital people who enable the content to be able to stream live by video or even audio. And those earlier slides was meant to give you a glimpse of the extent of creativity, the extent of content that was now very prevalent across the digital platforms. Our industry is one that is very strong in the concept of storytelling in terms of what's out there, what's happening, why is it something that we should know of, and across the industry, there are different roles that we all can play a part to enable that story to be told to the Singapore, to the region, or even to the global. Now that our content is actually available on the digital platforms. But while we still have the different channels that we have, what is important is that the content that was being created gets access to a wider range of audience. So to reach out to more people, that's where the partnership model in terms of the platforms, in terms of the content variety, in terms of certain things which no one person can do, and when we collaborate and synergize, that's where we can be able to add more value in terms of how the whole industry is moving towards. What is also important to highlight will be that technology in that certain sense play a very big part in terms of the experience. So a lot of time you will realize that as a consumer you will spend time doing things which you enjoy, which interests you, and that's largely affected by the experiences you have. So progressively, as the content gets richer, the technology ability also progressively increases. So we have seen the onset of 3D technology, or even smart appliances, and even subsequently virtual reality that will stretch the kind of experiences, the kind of content, and of course the kind of messages that that was intended to be released across the platforms. What also enhances the experience will then be the technology where we talk about augmented reality, whereby the system that you're using understands your interests and sometimes with your permission curates those content so that you can spend your time, so that you can spend less effort trying to identify things which you enjoy, right? AI will then be on in terms of how the contents gets identified, even gets organized, or even gets prepared in a certain way that will better facilitate. Because again, back to the first point about content, as the landscape evolves, you realize that things are not static. We constantly crave for more exciting plots. We crave for more interesting content. And that's something that the industry as a whole will continue to actually strive for. And technology to customize, in order to engage you better, customization is a definite must. And that's something that we already have been seeing moving strongly across the different organizations in the industry. Analytics play a very part. A lot of things that we do on the digital platform in particular are being monitored with our permission, of course, and that's for a good cause where the content creators will actually be able to understand what you like and produce more of it, what you don't like, and try not to do that much of it, right? So that progressively the experience, even the content, will be a lot more appealing to you in that sense. So while this is a very brief snapshot about the industry, what is important to take note of is the various roles that cut across the different parts of this whole ecosystem that every one of us can actually play a part. As the technology evolves, as the landscape changes, that's where the skill sets that we're looking forward to is something that we will constantly look up in view if you're interested to join us, right? And that's something that I would like to highlight. So when we talk about joining the industry, understand that there's a wide range of roles that we actually need, not just in terms of the production part. Production is a given because we still need to form, we still need to prepare. So that's on the first piece on the top left-hand corner on content creation production. If you are in this area and you're already doing that, we look forward to either have you partner with you or if not, have you join our teams if there's an available position that's on our career page. Digital has been fast growing, and that's an area that the industry constantly needs people in terms of how do we actually build the UI UX, how do we build different areas that will allow greater accessibility. Analytics has been an emerging field, not just in the media industry particularly, but the fast-paced industry like media has a higher demand for people who are very strong in analytics across our platforms. So it need not be just about content, it need not be just about social media. It could be finance, for example. It could be human resource, or it could be in some other areas where a lot of things that we do, we measure them, we understand what the current state is, and based on the data that's available, we advise our businesses and our stakeholders accordingly to be able to enhance the level of performance across the different areas. Engineering is a given. Engineering is, without engineering, no amount of exciting content can be published on the platforms. And engineering plays a very key part in the customer experience as well, right? So if there are certain interfaces that should be more user-friendly or intuitive, actually all the credit goes to the engineering team for making that happen. We talk about a lot of things that's moving around, sometimes to the extent sometimes that we are overwhelmed. That's where the concept of design comes in. With so many things to do, with so much information, with so much content, with so little time, what is it that we need to do to design our workflows, to design our interfaces, to design our work processes? And then the concept of design thinking is also very critical, and that can be brought across the different roles that we actually talk about. So the whatever areas of expertise we actually have, think about the part where you could add more value. Think about the part where you could help to change the game or bring the game to the next level. And there's a high chance that apart from problem solving, design will have a very structured approach to how design can influence the business result. Comes handy and important rather than just doing our day-to-day job itself. Because as what I said, the organization is, or rather the industry is evolving, and therefore, if you are able to input that level of thinking into your work, therefore, it will really be something that the industry is actually looking out for. Now I'm going to switch to the right-hand side to then highlight, okay, so much about what the industry needs, but how does that translate down to myself and yourself as a candidate? That's where, with an understanding of the availability and the complexity of it, the corresponding skills and competencies are the drivers to enable those to be fulfilled. So we are looking for people, or the industry looks for people who are flexible, where things change, things sometimes may not be that constant, the ability to actually adapt to the growing demands at any one point in time. the ability to be very agile and see new opportunities as you go along. How do we better our game? How do we better our delivery time? And of course, our outcome. With all the things that we actually do, we still live in a world where it's 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Therefore, productivity is key in terms of managing your time and being able to focus and prioritize on those things that are important. Those that might be a bit more direct, straightforward, or could be optimized. That's where we can think along as an industry or as an organization to actually propose certain things so that our time can be better used to help the business. Granted, this is a big industry, therefore no one person can do things alone. So what if you are keen to join this industry, being collaborative, being very at ease in working in teams is very important. I know that some of you all might have roles which you do individually or in silos, but particularly for our industry where one part of the work connects with the other part and there are a lot of things that's going on, being very collaborative is a prerequisite in terms of how things can work together or flow better, and that's something that the industry does look out for. Communication, of course, while you're keen to collaborate, what makes sense, what makes it work is the ability to communicate, to make sense, to highlight, to escalate, or to discuss on things which we need to resolve together. So the earlier slides, you see a lot of exciting outputs, exciting deliverables. That is definitely not a very straightforward process where a lot of things can change along the way, COVID being one of them, to change, which affects the way we do. So communication is something that we are looking forward to be able to build closer together. What does it mean when you say that you can't do it, or you have limited resources, or certain things cannot be done, or there's an issue that needs to be highlighted? So here in the industry, we talk a lot. Sometimes we talk too much. Whether it was idea creation or whether it was problem solving, we talk and we communicate as effectively as we could so that we can put things into the perspective, so we can frame up a context at which all of us need to be mindful of. And then lastly, as the landscape evolves, you will realize that the things that we do are not static, and that's where an edge over the other candidates will be on your capacity to innovate and be creative, not just in terms of the creative content creation, but creativity in terms of the way that you see things, in the way that you are able to engage and move things forward. Okay, so as we continue with our day-to-day job, these are certain key skills that we are constantly developing and constantly increasing, so that at any one point in time, as the business requirements change, as the industry landscape changes, we are able to flex ourselves effectively to meet the needs and demands of the businesses. Right? So I'm happy to elaborate and answer any questions for this one slide. Yeah, this encapsulates one of the key focus that we actually need to be looking out for in terms of people who are keen to actually join the industry. And that's something that should be evident as you prepare yourself. Of course, as an organization, Mediacorp does more than just what we said earlier. We also have our corporate social responsibility. We have our platforms, and we utilize our assets accordingly to fulfill a greater purpose, like setting up for fundraising, like supporting sustainability, or even encouraging our employees to actually volunteer. So that's something that as an organization we believe in, and we engages our employees accordingly. Well, you hear a lot of things about me. What is important is that you find out for yourself, right? Don't just take my word for it. And there are people who are actually working in this company that you can speak to. We actually have a dedicated Instagram page where we feature our employees across the different business units, that you can actually find out more or even talk to them about their experiences, right? There are a lot of things that we work through, but it keeps us going because despite the challenges and quite a fair bit of hard work, the work that we do is fulfilling to us, and that's where we continue to drive and push things forward. Okay, so there are things which you may or may not be covered in this short time. So feel free to engage us or talk to us. Check out our opportunities on our career page at mediacorp.com.sg/careers. For people who are changing roles, right? I think Jay mentioned that there are some people that might be switching careers or switching different fields, or maybe you are a fresh grad who just graduated or you're about to graduate. There are some things which may not be so straightforward to, and we discovered that having someone to speak to is very useful, such as understanding more about what the job is, how the skill sets can be a good fit to what we're looking out for, right? So we hire a lot of people across the different age groups, across the different skills, and we abide by the tripartite standards, and we work closely with Singapore Media Academy to nurture the next generation of media professionals. We also work very closely with SG Enable to support hiring of people with disability, and we started working with the Yellow Ribbon SG to actually include people who might have a past with us. So being inclusive is something that we are working towards, and that's something that we like to talk to you if you are interested to join the industry or talk to us, and that's where the platform is, right? But what is important is that when you are about to embark on this discussion, or even just the thinking process of careers, you can take note of your achievements or your work experiences. The first point of contact is usually on your resume. So I'm very happy that Jobstreet does provide the advisory or even the guidance to help. So feel free to tap on them to actually enhance your resume, or even the certain things which you feel that is important in an interview. Those are the marks that are critical for you to actually secure an opportunity, not just about finding out whether a job is suitable for you, right? So look out for those support that you actually have, and looking forward to actually have you join us. So I'm going to leave this time back to Jay, and also to answer certain questions that you actually have.
Hi, Mike. Thank you so much for sharing the insights. It's very helpful nowadays, actually. A lot of us is getting into like media, right? I myself also is a media content creator. Like, for you guys, anyone there, if you want to subscribe to my channel, I'm just kidding. All
Why
right.
not?
Yeah, so I had a question right here from the audience. Let me probably just ask you about this, because as being like a content creator, right? Like, how do I maintain my integrity while trying to get monetize my content?
Oh, okay. So that's where we talk about the earlier the earlier initiative that we actually have with YouTube as an example. So YouTube is a very leading platform where content creators can actually showcase, and that's where our organization Bloomer supports in terms of getting the content creators to be able to showcase. So feel free to actually reach out to bloomer.sg and let's have a conversation to see how that can happen. Not just on your own, as I mentioned, sometimes there's also the opportunity to showcase together with us as part of our content, or if not, even like in this case, even joining us if there's a relevant opportunity that you'd like to consider.
Right, right. I agree in that one. Yeah. So another thing, I think the person is asking because I think he or she is really into content creating, right? So he was asking, what is the #1 skill you think is essential for someone who wants to join the media industry?
That's a good question, and thank you so much for asking. So that single slide that actually I have about hot skills. So they are typically, if we could briefly break down, there is the technical skills and there's the soft skills part. So just now I took some time to highlight on the soft skills. So that's where we are looking out for. The technical skills, it really depends on what role you are referring to. So based on the nature of the role, scriptwriter, for example, you need to have strong writing skills, language skills, right? So depending on what that role is, typically you will look at our job description if there is, and you will find that there is the job scope as well as the job requirements, which will give you a glimpse about certain areas that we are looking out for. In an interview, one of the questions that we wanted to find out is, can you do the job? So the more you can understand about what that job is and how your skills can be a good fit to what we're looking out for, I think that's where we could start a conversation to actually explore further.
Mike?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I think your line was cut off there. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay, I didn't know about that.
Okay.
Which part was being cut off?
I think the last few words wasn't able to hear.
Oh, okay. So as I said, that particular question has to do with what role it is.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of having a glimpse of that role, if there's a job description that you can reference to, that's where you can see the job scope as well as the job requirements. So the bottom line that we are looking at is, can you do the job? Do you know what it takes to be successful? Because that's where the hiring occurs. But for those who are transiting different roles or different industry, I think that's where it's good to have a conversation to better understand what the role is and to see how you can position yourself so that you yourself is clear about what you want, as well as how you can actually better contribute to the media industry.
Right. Okay. So for those beginners out there, or probably I myself also consider a beginner because I just started my channel though, right? So I wanted to also visualize what are the pros and cons of a career as a content creator, Mike.
Cons of a content creator. Wow, that's quite a wide.
Yeah, probably just give us probably an insight of what you think would be what do you expect to happen, and being a content creator, what do you think will gonna be happening in the future if you wanted to pursue the career?
Okay. So one. Let me try. So one it depends on content creation is really wide. It could be across the different platforms, genres, formats, so and so forth, right? For example, if you talk about social media, it's very different from one that is on maybe film production, right, or short stories. So it cuts across quite a wide range of things that we talk about. But what is important to take note of is that it involves several processes. For the larger scale, where you talk about film production, or movie production, or clip production, there is, of course, pre-production, production, and post-production. To use that as an illustration, pre-production will start off with script writing, casting, location, storyline, right? Production, of course, is you just take the equipment and based on what you have prepared in pre-production to run with it. And post-production is more of that formatting as well as the editing skill sets and the publishing. So there are different stages, different processes, and as I speak, there's quite a wide range of skill sets that was attached to it. Sometimes you may be strong in only one of the areas. For example, you are very good at coming up with story ideas, story concepts, but you do not have the other parts of it to complement you to actually create a content. That's where taking on contract roles, freelance roles, or opportunities to build your portfolio helps you to hands-on, so they can understand more. And that's stage one. So the question asks about maybe monetizing, right? Which you can ask Jay, who has his channel. But there's another level up in terms of having that followers or that audience that you are able to, that the marketers are looking out for. That will add a spin to the type of content that will be of interest to them, because it's one thing that you and I are very excited about, about something. It's another thing that the masses, or there is people who also appreciate the same thing. And therefore, when, for example, you buy a channel or you start a post, there will be people who will follow you, who will like your content, or identify with certain things that you are saying. So monetizing it or optimizing your channel takes a level up in terms of what kind of content is of interest. How do you curate content to build interest as you go along? And eventually, what is the target audience that you're looking at? Are you reaching out to people across all levels? Are you only reaching out to the female, or the male, or the working class, or the children? So these are certain thoughts that you might need to take note of to strategize. Is the market big enough? Is the market too crowded? Is there any untapped areas? So that's where some workshops or asking professionals to learn from them comes handy in terms of maybe the analytics of it, Google Analytics or the social media analytics to understand the profile of the audience that you are trying to focus on, as well as how do you market or sell your content accordingly in that sense. So from a professional perspective, there is the roles, there is the skill sets, and of course there is the end in mind of what you are trying to do. Does that translate to you being taking on a professional role, or are you running it on your own as a business? Or do you want to do a partnership with companies, or even clients, having your own clients? So then that comes on the question of, are you looking to build your own business, being more of a freelance contract level, or do you want to work on as an industry professional, taking on a full-time job? Career options. Okay, so for a start, maybe you like to do a bit of freelance, and that's where you can get your hands and your feet dirty to understand. Or you may want to join a company to actually understand how professionals actually do that. Learn from them, and maybe in time to come, if you still don't fall in love with the industry, you may want to do it on your own. That's possible as well. But the foundation of building up this career decision that you actually have to make. You can explore both. I've seen people doing both. So it's a matter of how you want to approach that. Of course, on your own, you might be considered as an entrepreneur. That's where it has own sets of challenges in terms of getting your own clients, in getting the opportunities. Sometimes people may not know about you. Now we know about Jay, right? So feel free to go to Jay's channel. But if you start on your own channel, don't know about your channel. So how do you build your branding and your portfolio are certain areas of consideration. If you join a company, it has a very structured approach. Things are being set up already. Companies will have their objectives, content focus, or even their client base in which you can work with directly. So those two are probably things that you can talk about when you are in the area of content creation. What I would like to end off with this answer will be, have a vision for yourself, give yourself a timeline. What would you like to be at the end of the day? Do you want to be a director? Do you want to be a filmmaker? Do you want to be the next big influencer? And then plan backwards. What does it take for you to reach there? You may have a combination of both. But again, it's also very useful. Talk to the Jobstreet career advisors. Talk to people who are in the industry to gain more insights. There's no right or wrong. To your heart and to your drive, just go for it.
Right. I totally agree on that one, Mike. And I totally agree with what you said, that having the skills, the experience is actually the foundation. How do you want to build up your career, right? But talking about that one, how important is this paper qualification or past experience for Mediacorp?
Good one. Qualifications is a stepping stone. It builds on, you have a certain foundation in which you know what's happening. Experiences, on the other hand, is something that is very hands-on, which the industry or organization is looking for. When you come in, you're not going to talk about your knowledge. You're not going to talk about theories. You are going to hands-on and produce or work on directly on something as delivery. So therefore, the experiences count a great deal. Good for you if you are in you went through a program in your academic where there's a lot of hands-on, like for example poly or even uni. So that will provide that industry knowledge and application that is needed for the job itself. So, but qualification is just a stepping stone. Doesn't necessarily means that you are first class, means that you are guaranteed for success, and conversely doesn't mean that you're not very strong in academic or you didn't finish a degree program means that you won't be successful in life. Because there's a lot of things that if you are willing to learn and work on it, the experiences and that drive will actually help you to overcome any challenges you might have, because you might have the flair for it or the talent for it to be able to contribute better than someone who feel that he or she is very privileged and smart but unable to do the job. So that's where academic is concerned. For experiences, especially in this industry, as much as you can, go all out to gain experiences. Come back with a portfolio. I've done this, I've tried this, I'm exposed to this, right? Have fun, discovering your interests, or even getting your hands dirty through the platforms, through the tools, through the latest trends, so that it crystallizes what you're looking out for. Two, when you come and apply for the media industry, your experiences speak a lot about how good you are, how capable you are, and that differentiates you from the other candidates.
Exactly, I agree, and I also agree that experience is really the best, the best teacher for a life, right? So having said that, you already have the equipped with experience, right? So I would like to, because I saw a lot of questions here about what are the in-demand roles Mediacorp is hiring for, if you already have the equipped with experience, right? So what are the roles that you think, or the in-demand roles for Mediacorp right now?
We are hiring. We have been hiring. My team is responsible for hiring, and we have never stopped hiring so far, even with the onset of COVID, because the industry is still growing, the technology is still evolving, and therefore we will continue to need more people. So the ones that I actually listed down are actually the hot areas that we are looking out for, in terms of analytics, in terms of engineering, in terms of content creation and production. So any part, it pretty much caters to quite a wide range: journalists, producers. If you're strong in languages, in terms of English, Chinese, Malay, or even Tamil, that is our four languages that we broadcast our content on. It cuts across the different roles that we actually have. So you may not think that language is a very big thing, but it is. And if you are strong in languages, we are looking out for you to across the different business unit in the different areas. So that's something that is, engineering is a given, data science is a given, IP, cybersecurity, yeah.
Right. I think that's a lot, right? So you guys, if you wanted to join Mediacorp, you can always contact directly or go to the website. And also in our VCF or Virtual Career Fair website, we have a booth over there for a lot of companies who you wanted to apply. I think one of that is Mediacorp as well, okay? So another question for you, Mike, is what is Mediacorp's take on rising competition from companies like Netflix, Amazon, Disney Plus? Right? Because these are really rising industries now, right? So what is your take about this?
That's an interesting one. So we have our competing products in terms of streaming video, which is our Me Watch, and streaming audio, which is Me Listen, to continue to be competitive in the industry. Yes, agree, granted, they are growing strong, and in a certain sense, it's good for the industry because speaking as an end audience or end consumer, we benefit, right? Because there's so much more exciting things. The only thing that you and I will probably complain about will be that we don't have enough time to complete that binge watching that Korean drama or what. But more variety and more players is actually good for the industry, and it opens up to the possibility of enriching our lives, right, in a very different way. Why is it that the competition is doing that we need to be mindful of? How do we actually up our game and bring more value? So while they are there, we are not, we are mindful, but we also have our platforms and our content on local production, on our connecting with our communities. We have, I mentioned about being the national media network. So as an organization, we are very focused. But at the same time, we continue to stay relevant, even up the game in terms of what the industry is looking for.
I see. I see. Okay. So I also have here a few questions about, I think a lot of our viewers right now is very interested in joining Mediacorp, right? So they're asking, how do we prepare ourselves when interviewing at Mediacorp? So can you probably give us some tips to get ourselves prepared during the interview?
Uh, sure, that's a good question. Find out about what we are doing, what we have been doing. So I mentioned about press releases. I mentioned about our platforms and our social. So if you're interested to join us, don't just focus on what as an organization we are doing, and how you can actually play a part to it. So if you come and join us in terms of content production, but you don't know anything that we are doing, uh, that's kind of a very big gap in terms of seeing where you fit in, because otherwise, how do you actually contribute to us, right? So some amount of research and understanding of what we are doing is important. The other one is probably to call out the reason why I highlighted my last slide on resume and interview was because those two are the key touch points. An interview is only 30 minutes to 60 minutes. I don't really have the whole day to talk to you to understand about you. It's the same when we review a resume. So therefore, those two points or contexts are very important for you to present yourself effectively and concisely so that you can find more from us and we can see how good a fit you are to the organization. So in terms of the prerequisite, which we outlined in the job description, that is important for you to showcase and highlight why you should be considered for the role. I think a lot of times people come in to an interview with a preconceived understanding of their role without really studying or reading more about the role. Then the next thing is, oh, but I'm not very sure about the role. Fair enough, but what can you do about it? Can you talk to someone? Can you talk to the career advisors? Can you talk to someone who know, or ask someone to refer you or do more research about it? Right? So if you have done your part and you are prepared for it, I don't see why you don't stand a chance to be recruited by us.
Right, right. I totally agree with that one. Thank you for sharing. Also, I have another interesting question right here. If a person studied something else that is not relevant, probably he find it not relevant because maybe later part, right, he realized that this is not something that he wants, right? And he wanted to shift career, but he is already 50 years old. Is that still possible to switch to media?
The answer is yes, because when we hire people, we don't look at their age. We look at uh, we look at how capable they are, what the skill sets, and what the knowledge that they have towards a particular role. So it's a very role-based kind of consideration that we actually have. Um, there are a lot of things that candidates might perceive that as a barrier or a disadvantage. The truth is, when we hire people, we hire whoever that can do the job best. And therefore, in terms of presenting yourself, that's the area that you need to focus on. A bit more not so straightforward for people who are switching. I think that's something that we called out earlier, and it will continue to be so because when you switch industry or you switch your profession, sometimes you may not be able to reconcile or you may not be able to position yourself in a way that will best highlight the relevant areas. So that's something that, again, going back to the advisors, will help to do that. Get more exposure on certain related or relevant areas to showcase that you know what the job is or what the role is, what the challenges are, and therefore highlight that you are able to do that job despite not having any prior experience. And um, and interestingly, in the media industry, we hire people with quite a diverse background. Let me give you an example to illustrate that. So if we talk about journalism, we talk about newsroom, right? What might just come to your mind will be that, oh, okay, you should hire people with mass comm degree, study journalism. But you know what? We hire people who are studying political science, legal, medical, psychology, languages, right? Because in the field of news, there is quite a wide range of topics, right? So I mentioned about Malay and Tamil languages that was in demand. If you are strong in languages, that's where we would like to have a conversation with you to actually understand more. So a simple business unit like news and current affairs, we actually hire people with diverse background.
Right. Well, I think training is also provided, right? Just in case.
That's correct.
Yeah,
That's correct.
that's good to hear. Okay, so I'm afraid that we don't have much time. There are a lot of questions here. We have received overwhelming questions, but you guys don't worry. You can always go to our virtual career fair website. You can contact directly with our professional career advisors. So before we end up the session, Mike, let me just have this one last question that I think everyone can relate, right? Now that we are still in the midst of COVID-19 and many people are working from home, right? How does that affect Mediacorp?
That's a good question. So as I mentioned that things evolve. So COVID last year is a challenge to a lot of organizations, including us. While we need to run our businesses, we are equally mindful on the safety of our employees, and therefore we take a lot of references from what the government advisories are in terms of segregation, in terms of safe distancing, and then work our way around. So those who can work from home, we will enable those technology and those support to ensure that our employees are able to work effectively at home. So safety is something that we actually focus on quite a fair bit. In certain roles where you can't work from home, that's where we take direction and follow the safe distancing guidelines or the safety guidelines to make sure that things are following as what is needed. And if there's any, we also encourage our employees to be vaccinated once the opportunity is available. And therefore, that's something that we will continue to work together with the government to make sure that as an essential services, that while people are being safe, we are continuing to be able to produce great content for everyone. So it takes some time to work around. So just now I talked about design thinking. Quite a fair bit of work is done on problem solving as well. Our industry is one that we don't shy away from problems. There are a lot of problems, but we put in our best as a team and as an organization to come up with solutions that will work well for everyone, and that's where we continue to continue our operations.
Right, I agree. Well, thank you so much, Mike, for sparing your time with us. It's very a good talk that we need to, probably enhance our skills in terms of, like, if you have interest about media, right? I think that's really a good knowledge for us to take, right? And I'm really sorry, everyone, we have not much time, but it's really glad to bring you here. And if you have any questions further, you can always visit us again in our virtual career fair. We have a bunch of companies participating. They have their own booth over there. If you're looking for jobs, you can always keep in touch with them. And like I mentioned as well, you can also keep in touch with our career coaches. You can chat with them interactively, directly, and they can reply to you right away. Okay, so Mike, do you have any final statement for everyone who are really interested about joining media, right?
Thank you so much for that. One thing is for the opportunities. I think what is also important is that you may discover that sometimes the role is a particular role of interest is not available on our website. And progressively as our business evolve, we will continue to post new opportunities. But there are situations whereby if you are interested to join us, you could email us to let us know of the interest area. So we can actually keep you informed if you are suitable for some of our upcoming roles. Job search or career development has never been easy. And we appreciate players like Jobstreet to actually facilitate, to make those opportunities more available. But don't be discouraged if you don't get immediate response. Take time to focus on what you need to do, upgrade your skill sets, find out more about the industry, hands-on as many opportunities as possible to build a portfolio, talk to people. So there are certain steps that you can do despite the fact that it will take a while. So I'd like to encourage you not to give up. If it's something that is in your heart and your interest that you want to pursue, keep moving in that direction because one day you'll be successful.
That is true. Don't give up. Just keep on going. I think that is really a good statement. Okay, time to say goodbye and hope everyone is having fun and see you again later. We have another talk for today. That will be 3 p.m. later. All right. See you guys, everyone. Have a great day. Bye, Mike.
Bye.